Welcome back to One Piece Anime Review, episode number 79. We're at the final batch of episodes released for this most recent batch, episodes 875 to 878. Now, the thing with 875 to 877, these are technically the last 3 episodes of the Whole Cake arc. Well, what happens this arc? Well, the Fire Tank Pirates get away on the Tarty ship. And, let's see. Germa basically sees that the Straw Hats are slowly getting away. Now, Jinbei, of course, actually briefly leaves the crew. He's still a member of the crew, per se, but he's staying behind to help up the Sun Pirates because he doesn't want anything bad happen to them, per se. Because he also wants to do a proper goodbye to them because he was their captain for so long. And, of course, basically, with Big Mom... by the way, Big Mom actually eats her cake, and they basically end the Hunger Pung plot thread. This plot thread went on for a long time in the anime. Would you say it was almost as long in the manga? Yes. Though I think in the anime it's slightly longer. Eats the cake, there's a musical number there, and, of course, she goes back to normal. Gets the farm, basically Straw Hats to get edge of their territory. Got the Straw Hats to get out of the territory. Basically, the Sun Pirates retreat. And Germa retreats as well. Well, somewhat anyways, though they continue going after them. If you're curious what happens with Germa 66, you have to read basically the Germa 66 emotionless incursion story arc that's currently going on right now. That reveals exactly what happened with them right after we last seen in this particular story. In the case of Capone Benj, you will basically next see him in a story arc that actually was printed that came out during the Wano story arc. Basically, it's about Capone Benj, where basically, like him and the Fire Tank Pirates on the stolen Tardy ship go to Dressrosa. Yes, read that, and you'll find out exactly what happened there because that one actually has a pretty good happy ending to it. Could you say that wraps up the character? Not really sure. They could bring it back anytime. But what about Pudding, per se? Well, Pudding basically is moping. They do actually show here her removing like parts of Sanji's memories and cutting them out. Though he does remember just a little bit he cuts out. And Pudding herself is actually not seen again for quite a while. Yes. She hasn't finally returned to the series until the current cover story arc where she pops up for a few chapters. And she was taken by the Black Bear Pirates. Yeah, the Black Bear Pirate decided to storm into Whole Cake, into Tatoland, and to kidnap Pudding, which, by the way, that actually affected the main story, which is the first time that ever happened. Yep. Okay. But oddly enough, they do explain that Jinbei does return in Wano, but it takes quite a while for return to Wano. Which, okay, we know what happened to Germa. We know what happens with... Well, Caesar Clown pops up there too, by the way. Yes, he pops up there too. And, okay, so we know about how Pirates. Oddly enough, we don't really see the fate of the Sun Pirates. What happened with them right after the end of this arc. Like, we get mentioned, basically, what happened with them right after Jinbei shows up. But we don't have a story for them yet. That might be the next one that Oda might do, is basically focus on them once he wraps up this current story arc. But in the case of... By the way, the arc wraps up basically with, you see, last thing you see for the Sun Pirates is that you see her seeing on screen life or death. And then we cut to the Baratie, which, if you think about it, this is probably the first time in a long time that it's been seen in the series. You're probably thinking, okay, what was the last time Pistol appeared? I think this was probably the first post-Flash appearance, first time skip appearance that it made. But it had been quite a while since it appeared. Yep. And when you see these unruly pirates, and of course you see him preparing food for them, and of course you have Luffy, Chopper, Brook, and Carrot wanting food. And they get food, and that's how the arc ends, basically. The last thing you see in episode 877, that's actually the end of the Whole Cake story arc. 878 is the start of the Levy story arc. It's simply put, I kind of get the reason why they included this part of this batch because I heard a rumor that this batch would only just contain from 867 to 877 because it's basically just the last 7 episodes. And they have 13 episodes. Yeah, basically you have like the 10 episodes that is of every arc. Well, that wasn't the case here. They included this one because it's what happens next. That's probably my guess anyways, they included this. Why they have this one too. Simply put, basically, we see the Straw Hats where they're very mopey, or they're very relaxed. Luffy is still bandaged up, but yeah, Luffy doesn't do much anything. They're in the last few episodes of the Whole Cake arc, basically, because his job is finished. He beat Katakuri, he got Sanji back, so he's done. He basically has earned his rest. Yep. Yep, so he's bandaged up, but by next episode, he's still kind of bandaged up. I think he's slowly get back to normal, per se. Oh, by the way, almost forgot to mention before I continue here. Jinbei. Not Jinbei. Luffy does mention the Jinbei before he leaves to help out the Sun Pirates. He says, basically, remember, I'm your captain, and please make sure you come back alive to Wano. Yep. I had to bring it up because basically people would talk me out, have remind me of that. And then we see newspaper got the very next episode where it details a lot of the stuff happened of the sword. And Luffy being named the 5th Emperor. Now, of course, they actually do show like that Sanji's bounty went up to 330 million berries. And they did change his poster a little bit where it basically says from only alive to simply dead or alive. And the name Volsmog is put there. And you probably think, okay, does anybody else bounties get increased? There is one our bounty gets increased. Now, Luffy, of course, is very mopey, but we actually don't find in the next episode the reason why, because he actually miscalculated the actual bounty he got, which is humongous. His bounty goes up again after the very next story arc. Yep. So, yeah, Morgan is basically doing his own thing here. By the way, here's something interesting, though. Do we see any of the Big Mom Pirates in the very next story, the Levy arc? No, they're remarkably absent. There's mentions of them in this story arc. There's no physical appearance by them. They'll pop up again to like the part way to the very next story arc, which is basically the Wano story arc, which that is next. Now, I have heard today they just released on the Microsoft and basically purchasing wise, they did just release the last 13 episodes of this season on there, all dubbed. So right now, I'm waiting for the dubbing release on the Funimation streaming service. Excuse me. And we just released just last week, after exactly 3 weeks after where this was released. Now, in the case of this probably released the 3rd week of December. That's probably when. Let's see. When in the world this was released. Let's see here. I'd probably say this is probably released on Funimation by the 20th of December. Here's something interesting, though, about this. They announced the release of this thing. Now, here's the thing. This batch of episodes I just watched, they just announced the release of these episodes at the start of this month. And we already have another set of episodes just released, like, not even 4 weeks later. Maybe because it's 4 weeks this month, for a reason why we released 2 batch episodes. So, my guess is that next month, we're going to go into Wano finally. We're finally going to see the dub. Now, I did tweet out to Mike McFarlane about this. Now, he has not responded back to it. People have liked the tweet I sent out. My tweet was, is the English dub actors for Whitebeard and Gold Roger coming back? Because they're in the Wano story arc, but mostly in the flashback. You would think, yes, I'm sure, definitely. But you might be curious, though. Is there one voice actor who would not come back for the Wano story arc? The answer is yes, there is one. As far as I can... Now, they did have Cowher apparently reprise his role from the flashback episode from early on the series for episode... Now, in case you're curious about the Levy arc, the reason why it's longer than the actual story arc itself is because half the episodes are stock footage. Yes, seriously, that's what these episodes are. Nothing's really changed here. By the way, the lead of these Mountain Pirates is Cal Herbert. I think they may have changed the original dub actor. I don't remember who it was, but this is probably Kyle Harper's like, okay, we have this bonus episode. Let's have Kyle Harper basically play this character. Yeah, mostly everybody else has played with the same character originally. I think they may change this one. Possibly, yes. But we'll find out basically about the rest of the stuff because basically the Levi Stork is quite interesting. I love the Levi Stork. It's like how really short it is, but it's really good. You see return a lot of characters, some of whom have not been seen in a long time in the series. But I'm definitely looking forward to what they do for that one. Probably have to wait a few weeks before that gets released. Yep. So yeah, that's the single view. Now in the case of basically when I do another one of these, when the next episodes come out, that's when this will come back in. Next up is going to be Super Sentai. Okay, next video. Bye.